there is this
It's
beautiful,
okay. It's okay.
but it's beautiful. It's
It's okay.
brown
It's okay.
with yellow spots.
It's
So
okay.
the light,
It's
huh?
it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
But it's in my spirit.
It's okay.
But
It's
it's in.
it's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
I don't understand how to go on when this information is stuck in my throat.
I'm ready when you are. Ready when you are.
Can I say and yellow?
Tay.
Hi, and welcome to Black in Business, where the possibilities are limitless. I'm your host, the Eunice,
And I'm Miss G.
and today we want to pose the question: does having a job equal security? Does having a job equal security? You want to take it first? Because you definitely have an emotional connection to this one.
I absolutely do. But as always, it depends on who you ask. I think for me personally, it does not equal security. And I say that because again, living in Texas, Texas is an at-will state, which basically means whenever they see fit to fire someone, they can. They don't have to give you any reason. They don't have to give you a heads up. Most people are used to putting in a 2 weeks notice for a job and preparing the job for when they leave, for when they fire you. They don't prepare your bills for them firing you. So I don't feel like it equals security just because oftentimes they have a lot of leverage over you. And I do understand that, most people are used to that and don't know anything different. Um, but I think when you are in a situation to where you're now outside of that, naturally you see it differently. I definitely have friends that feel like having a job is security. I also vividly remember when I was that person prior to being an entrepreneur. Um, I saw my mom work. She was a single mother. So what was ingrained in me was to work and pay bills, to take care of myself. And, that's the adult thing to do is, you go to work and you take care of what's necessary. You make sure you got food in your house, make sure electricity and water is going, make sure you got gas in your car, make sure you have enough to sustain you into the next check. And so something I learned as an adult is that, my mama really was operating in survival mode. Her being a mom of two
Mhm.
kids and having to provide for us, she always had the motivation to um, basically get it done because we needed stuff, and by default, that made me and my brother good workers. Um, so I don't think I ever really questioned um, anything outside of a job until
Mhm.
until I was motivated to question it, if that makes sense. Getting with my husband and thinking about having a family, thinking about having children, thinking about the role I plan to play in my children's lives, the mother that I wanted to be. I soon realized I can't depend on this job to allow me to be the type of mother I want to be, because that's not going to happen. They're never going to give you permission to miss a day because your baby's sick, or to not come to work because your child is running a fever, or maybe your child just woke up having a bad day and don't feel like being bothered. As an adult, you wake up and have a bad day, so children definitely have bad days as well, but your job doesn't care about that. And so I feel like really the only security you can have is when you decide that you call the shots, because
Mhm.
having a job, I know for me personally, the type of job that I had was shift work. And so shift work just means it's open 365, 24 hours a day. So that type of job is very demanding. And when it comes to having children, if I'm breastfeeding a baby and she solely depends on me for food, and this job is saying, hey, I need you to work a 12-hour shift, that's not including any type of traffic. It's not including construction. It's not including if someone has an accident. It's not including if electricity goes out and some lights are not working. You know, there are all these variables to where it now takes that 12-hour day to potentially a 14-hour day. And then depending on how far you have to commute to work, that's adding even more time to it. So for me, logically, having a job, it just didn't make sense for the type of life that I wanted. Now, I don't knock people, again, that have a job or that feel like a job is security. However, I do question, in the event something happened today, i.e. a pandemic,
Another one.
and your job decides, hey, we're going to furlough you for the next 3 months because we don't know the state of the world right now, and we don't know when we'll be able to bring you back. For the particular job that I had, we were considered essential because, you know, 911 is emergency. So whether it's a pandemic or not, you're going to always need fire, PD, EMS. But most jobs, or a lot of jobs, are not considered essential. So if a job decides they want to furlough you, how are you going to pay your bills for the next 3 months? Where's the security in not knowing how you're going to pay your bills for the next 3 months? Where's the security in not knowing if you're going to be able to afford electricity, or if you're going to be able to afford gas, or if you'll be able to put food in the house to feed said children, or even to feed yourself? Where's the security in it? Even with giving a 2 weeks notice and you potentially training the person that's going to replace you, you're given the job security in knowing that someone else will be able to perform your duties when you're no longer here. But when they fire you, where's the security in your concerns? What's the job doing? Does anybody from the job reach out and say, hey, you okay? I know we called you last week, but you need anything? You got gas in your car? You need some milk? Need some diapers? They're not reaching out because they don't care. When you work there, they don't care. And so I just feel like when you really think about it, what's secure about a job? And I think that's a lot of times people don't want to ask that question. People don't really dive into it, because then you got to confront some things that you're really not comfortable with. Like when you say out loud, my job don't care if my baby eat. Why you still reporting to that job? My job don't care that my spouse is sick. So why you still giving all your effort to this job? I feel like different folks for different folks. So if you feel like it's worth you putting your blood, sweat, and tears into a company that is not concerned about your well-being, who am I to tell you not to do that? But when it comes to me in my household, all I have to see is you not appreciate somebody else. No, you're not going to appreciate me. You're not going to care about what I got going on. I got to care about my family. I got to care about my household. I got to do what's best for us. And for me, having a job was not best for my family. But that's not to say that for somebody else's family, it's not working amazing. I just feel like if you boil it down and you ask those questions of, if something were to happen, how will my job handle me? Are they going to do what's best for them, or are they going to do what's best for me? And I can almost guarantee you 10 times out of 10, they're going to cover their tail. But that's just my opinion. What's your take?
You know, I'm going to circle back around to you in a minute. But for me, I do get where you're coming from now on this side of it. But I was, and I give this disclaimer all the time, I'm still working a regular job as I transition. I do love my businesses. I love the wins. I love every new step and overcoming every new challenge. It is work, but the more I do the work for my business, the less I want to be in a regular 9 to 5, but I am still in essentially a 9 to 5 or 7, 8 to 3:30, however you want to see it. Um, but just starting to see my business and seeing the ins and outs and being able to control my time really makes me want to be full time a business owner, my own business, my own creations, or like, because one of them is mine, one is in a, well, both is in a partnership, really, but being in a partnership, but running my own business is so much more freeing on this side of it, on the side of, if I want to, I can make it look different one day to the next. I can pull in my creative ideas. I don't need the approval of someone else to come up with a way to present my business. I don't have to be in one place to present my business. We can go to other events. I can be in one country, which is the case, and my business is growing or flourishing in another. So that gives me and my son the freedom to see the world, which has always been my dream. So it gives us that freedom. Now I'm gonna say, why?
A different
What are you
animal.
not saying? You know me. We'll circle back around to those frogs. No, yeah, but that's life to me. I love my not my specialty, but my favorite branch of science is, of course, biology. It always has been. So to be able to see and experience that firsthand instead of just in a textbook is my American dream. I'm not even gonna say American, it's just my dream. America has nothing to do with it. It's my dream. So do you
But
have a dream? Yeah.
the thing, you saying of the American dream, that's part of the conditioning, right? When it comes to thinking that a job is security, is because in the industrial age, when there were so many people working in factories, and when they came up with the whole concept of pensions and paying for your retirement once you reach a certain age, that has been factored into the whole quote unquote American dream. The white picket fence, the two and a half kids and a dog, like all of that has been, a concept that's been pushed on us all of our lives. From the time you start school, this is what people start grooming you to think that you want. And the whole good job, and you're going to school to get this good job to go work for someone. Like all of that is a part of that thought process. So, naturally, it's not uncommon for people to feel like a job is security because that's what they were taught. But it's what I think baffles me is how many people don't question why is that what we are taught, or don't question, is this really security? They just go along with, this is what I've been told, this is what I've heard all my life, and they just continue to push the same narrative. Whereas once you start to ask those questions, that gets your mind thinking and gets the wheels turning to where you're like, well, wait a minute. If I really think about a job being able to lay me off whenever, that's not really security. Or if I really think about, them requesting give them 2 weeks, but they don't give me 2 weeks before they let me go, that's not really security. And then even when COVID did happen, hearing about people that were literally weeks or a couple months away from retiring, they've put in 30 plus years at a company to be let go, and now their retirement is gone.
Oof.
So you just did all that work for what? Because you were under the false pretense that if you put in 35 years, 40 years at this job, it's going to be worth your while, when it's not. You have people that are senior citizens today that are greeters at big corporations, at big businesses, and they have they have
Land that plane.
they have grandkids, they have great grandkids, but the income that they get monthly from their retirement is not enough, so they have to go out and get another job. So I feel like if more people were to question just what they see on a day-to-day basis, what they see in their life, they would come to terms better with it's been a lie, you know? But I feel like I don't want to, for the people that still believe that, you know, I'm not trying to crush their dream. I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad for them wanting to climb the corporate ladder or them feeling like me getting this check every 2 weeks, you know, is enough or is the best thing that, you know, I've ever encountered. But I heard somebody pose the question, have you ever thought about you going to a job and them telling you, well, this position only pays $16 an hour. You okay with that? You're like, yeah, I'll take it. Or this position only pays, let's say, $25 an hour. You know, most people be like, oh, that's pretty good. I'll take it. But if somebody else outside of an interview, outside of a job opening, were to say, your life is only worth $25 an hour, you will be insulted. Because how can you put a price on your life? So to tell somebody that you're only worth this amount of dollars per hour, my time is priceless because that's time I can't get back. That's the one commodity that you can't replenish. You can't get that. So for somebody to say your time is only worth $16 an hour, listen, the God I served didn't tell me I was only worth $16 an hour. I'm invaluable. Like you can't put a price on me. But that's exactly what a job does. Now, don't get me wrong, even as a business owner, you can control how much you make an hour, how much you make a day. It's about your effort. But what I've learned is that most people that feel like a job is security, they're comfortable with being able to go to work and know that even if I give you 10% of work today or I give you 90% of work today, at the end of these 40 weeks, I'm still paid. So for them, it's more so about, I don't have to give you my full 100%. And I'm still going to get paid. So for me, that's worth it. Versus as an entrepreneur, you're still going to have days where you give 90% and it's going to be days where you give 10%. But if you partner with multiple people, somebody else might have that 90 when you only have 10.
Yeah.
Somebody else might have that 70 when you only have 30. But you still can come out on top and make more than you would have at this job where they're telling you you're only worth X amount of dollars, regardless of the effort you give, regardless of the fact that you don't take sick days, regardless of the fact that you're abandoning your children to be at this job. They don't care about none of that. You still are only worth X amount of dollars. And then the people that's not working half as hard as you are, you don't even know how much they make because they're in a different tax bracket and you don't have access to them.
Very true.
That's stuff that people don't want to talk about. People don't want to acknowledge all the people that's doing hard work typically are the ones that's getting paid the least. But that's because you're allowing somebody else to put a price tag on you. But again, just my opinion.
Because I would say, I'll speak for those in jobs, because I'm in one, moving out. They especially like what happened with COVID, and you saw a lot of businesses close. So what would you say to people who are looking at it like that? Now I say there is some, you can be insecure on either side, but if you're doing your business, you can find ways to keep coming back with that, or you can pre-plan for the hard times and be able to shelter yourself. Would be like how I might think of combating being a business owner and being more secure. So what is some ideas for getting past the thought that if I'm a business owner, that's more insecure than if I'm just in the job?
Well, for starters, I'm going to say what I've been saying. If God qualifies you, no man can deny you. So even if your business closes, that don't mean you can't come up with another business. God give you ideas all the time. That's not happenstance. He gives you ideas because you can figure out how to, he's equipped you to work, figure out how to make it work. Now, even if it don't last, who says you have to stop there? Like you said, you can reinvent yourself. You learn to pivot. I feel like people that start a business and then something happens to where it fails and they revert back to a job, It's not because they couldn't succeed. It's because they chose to take the out. They chose to accept in their mind, because I failed, this must not be meant to be. Because somewhere along the way, people have decided that if it's hard, it must not be meant to be. But whoever said that it was supposed to be easy? You have to go through things in order to overcome. You got to go through it.
To grow through it.
To grow through it. Exactly. If you don't go through anything, what will you grow from? But instead, people choose to accept the defeat and tell themselves this wasn't meant to be, so I'm going to go back to what I know. But again, I say, if you're comfortable with somebody putting a price tag on you, by all means, live your best life. I just wasn't comfortable with that. Because at the end of the day, God put me on this earth and put greatness in me. Yes, therefore, it is absolutely my job to let that greatness shine. And if He put limits on me, why am I putting limits on myself?
I agree. And just looking back, it goes into that, like, you don't realize how deeply rooted the conditioning is.
Right.
You see other people. I see majority not Black people with owning businesses. Now, I would say in the community I grew up in, we saw a lot of barbers, and those barbers had their business. We saw a lot of hairstylists. They were called beauticians back in my day, but they had either they were renting a place or they owned that place, but they had their business. And so you can always make money with that. But not that was really basically what we saw. Barbers, hairstylists, a couple of barbecue places, which, hey, I appreciate your business. But it wasn't often that you saw many things outside of that. I do see more now. I do have friends who have their own construction businesses. I see people with real estate businesses. And so I am proud to see that transition. But you those are still not the norm. It's still the exception to the rule, more so than it is the rule. So I would love to see more people just take stock of, am I even happy in my business, and not, in where I am working? Am I even happy in my job? Or am I always dreading getting up and going to work? I love education. I love teaching. So I do still love being with my students. But do I love my homeschool business more? Bit more. I get to be so much more creative. I get to help parents to see the potential in their kids. I get to let the kids go as fast and as far as they want to go. I'm not limited just by, this is the standard to teach and you need to pass this test. Like, one of my favorite students, she is phenomenal. But she decided she wanted to write a historical fiction novel. Okay, let's do that. And it figures into her lessons. It figures into her history lessons. It figures into her writing lessons. It figures into her own creativity. She's not limited. She's a phenomenal student. So I love the aspect of taking my own business and making it what I want it to be. But like a few years ago, I did not even see that. Of like a year ago, I did not see that. But I did have a desire for more. And so I honestly, I really, really thank God for showing me that there was something more. And then when I think about, oh, I'm this age, and I could, if I would have started in my 20s, if I would have started at 19, if I could be further along. But the Lord stopped me right there, and He was like, I'm not on your time frame. And I was like, literally, you can bless whatever you have put in my hands. And I stopped worrying.
At any time.
At any time.
That's also another, I feel like, another source of insecurity. Ageism in a job is a thing. Once you get to a certain age, outside of being a greeter, most places feel like, I don't want you here because you're too slow. They completely omit the fact that you have a plethora of knowledge and experience and wisdom, and you can add so much value to any situation. They completely omit that and feel like because you don't move at the pace I want you to, I don't need you. How is that security? If you've been doing something for, let's say, 20 years and you can do it with your eyes closed, you're like, I've been doing this for so long, I'm comfortable, like I understand all the ins and outs, I know all the tricks of the trade, and they come along and say, we need you to train this 20-year-old. We just want you to train them because you're such a good employee, and we know that you're going to teach them the right way. We don't want them to get any bad habits, yada, yada, yada. You train this person, and then 2 weeks later, you're let go because now you're obsolete, because now you've replaced yourself with someone that's younger, that's faster, that can do just as much, if not more. However, I don't have to pay them as much because they don't have the experience that you have. How is that security? Or even the thought process of, I had this conversation with a girl I used to work with. She is now dispatching in another state. And I asked her, how often have you worked at a job, and after so long, you've gotten more experience under your belt, have you gone back to renegotiate what you're being paid? Because you add more value. Now they have you training people. You have people come to you asking you questions, looking to you for insight, and you're doing more than what your job requires. Because what's in your job description, they always ask you to do more, right? Because if you do more, I don't have to hire somebody else to do it. I can save money by having you do multiple things and pay you the same thing I was paying you. So I was like, how many times have you thought to just go in and be like, okay, so I've been here 5 years now. I've trained this amount of people. I assist this amount of people. I'm doing extra projects, so on and so forth. I think we need to talk about raising my pay. And she said, wow, that never even crossed my mind.
Wow.
Yeah. And most jobs capitalize on, I can get you to do the job of 3 or 4 different people, but I'm only paying you for one. How is that security? If anything, that's them using you. They're going to use as much as they can until they can't no more. So at the end of the day, you have to just be more diligent about doing what's best for you. Again, if you feel like your job is serving you in all areas of your life, in every capacity, that's amazing. That's wonderful. I am happy for you. But in most cases, that is not the case.
Yeah.
So I think that
so true.
If people continue to regurgitate the lie of a job is security, they need to question more things. They need to question, why am I doing the job of 3 people and I'm only getting paid for one job? Why haven't I asked for more money when I know they require more work out of me than they did 2 years ago? Am I really certain that they're not going to let me go next month after I done trained this new young buck that just got here? What about a job makes it secure? If a person can tell me that they've been working at a job for 15 years and they know for a fact that they could never be let go, and they continue to get a raise every 6 months, every year, as cost of living go up, their income goes up. They don't ever get any grief for taking off for a sick day or for their kid being sick, or if someone in their family dies, they don't ever get any grief from that. If somebody could say that with a straight face and not be lying, then potentially they may have job security. Otherwise, I don't feel like any job is secure. But I had to, again, get outside of that situation and really, really see all the things that I had been conditioned to conform to. And that's what made me really start to question, like, how on earth was I thinking this was security? How have I been going all these years, working all these hours?
So this was really a really good conversation today.
It was,
I think we got a little bit deeper than we normally get.
yeah, I think it got deeper than we had anticipated.
But it was good. It was so good. And I think it's going to help people, even if it's helping them start thinking and again changing that mindset, because it has to start in your mind first.
It has to start somewhere.
It starts in your mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because whatsoever a man thinketh, so is he. That's the word. You know, I have a word for pretty much everything.
A scripture for everything. I know.
I don't have it, the Lord does. That's the word. The
Yes,
word.
the Lord has it, but you know it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because he allowed me to learn it. I'm telling you. But we're going to stop right here today. I think we've given them so many points to really keep considering. Um, we're always saying reading books. I'm going to start reading scripture, reading Bible verses. If you're looking to find more verses like what we're telling you on here, drop a comment or email us. I would love to answer those. If I see those, I would love to answer them because it's my
those
passion.
comments.
Yeah, it's my passion though. That's my lane.
Right.
I'm gonna be in my lane.
That is your ministry.
And on that, I am going to give it to Miss Gabrielle.
And on that note, if you found anything that we discussed insightful or helpful, or know that it can help someone that you know, please like, share, comment, and subscribe because we are changing lives all 2025. We will see you next week on our new episode on Monday. See you soon.
See ya.
And see.
Excellent. That